Hi, I'm Marilyn Hamlin Palasky, and I'm an independent practitioner of social work and psychoanalysis in Las Vegas, Nevada. One day my neighbor knocked on my door and said, "There's an unlisted school in the neighborhood that you might want to send your son to." He was 18 months old at the time. I hadn't really thought about preschools, but I took the number and I called, and she told me her address, and I walked by and knocked on the red door, and the woman opened the door and said, "Don't go away, come on in." So the school was downstairs, and I went down there, and she mentioned to me after the class was over, my son and I sat through it. It was very interesting. A room of about 12 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds. My son was 2, 18 months. And we didn't go away, but she mentioned her husband was a psychoanalyst and a social worker, and that he was a marriage counselor. So that morning at 7 o'clock, because there was quite a bit of controversy about whether we should send our son to a preschool, I called her and said, "Could we come in to your husband for a marriage counseling?" Because it had to do with the education. Well, long story short, continuing education had to do with him becoming my analyst, me standing backstage realizing that the theater held no future for me, and our son continuing for 4 years at that preschool. And at one point, when I was standing backstage, I realized I had no future as an actor, but I was interested in what he did for me. So let me just say the inspiration part was that he didn't touch my ego. I was trained to have only a superego. I had no thoughts of my own, no feelings of my own, and I behaved in a way I was supposed to. An as-if personality, if you will, that was pursuing an acting career. Perfect. So the work of psychoanalysis that inspired me to become one was that I actually developed a nice, big, healthy ego, not the one that you see that's pretty unhealthy all around us today, the malignant narcissism, but a healthy ego, which runs my life now instead of a superego. And my son still is continuing his education, teaching 800 students, he told me yesterday, in the physics department down at the University of Florida. And I'm still practicing with the wife that let me in that door all those years ago, 38 years ago. She let me in the door. And that's what inspired me to become a psychoanalyst, was a person who loved her husband, had a nice, big, healthy ego, and didn't mess with mine. Still doesn't. So one of the things that I think is inspiring, it's a core of what inspired me, and it's the idea that when you stay away from a person's ego, all the objects in their mind that are very attached and dear to them, and you just let them be, you may be one of the first people in their experience that's ever done that. And so no matter where they are in their lives or in their career or in their aging process, you can help a person feel okay by not trying to work on their ego, by just letting them have what's precious to them be precious to them, and taking a curious interest in it. And so by doing that, many people have said, "I want to give others the same feeling you give me. I want to do what you do." There's also been a couple of cases where people want to knock me off and become me, which is a little different. That's one of the things you work on when their ego's not so healthy and they need to obliterate yours. But it still works because it's treatment. And so when you're curious, that's what inspires, I think. I'm pretty sure about that.